I walked into my late wife's estate, hearing, believing. I was about to lose the house I had built with my own hands. My son and his wife were sitting across the courtroom with their lawyer, looking completely confident. They believed the house belonged to my late wife and that I had no way to stop them from taking it. I had already prepared myself for the worst. But then the judge looked at my son and asked one simple question. The color drained from his face. His wife's lawyer stopped moving. And within seconds, a secret my wife had hidden for 3 years was about to destroy everything. They thought they were going to inherit. My name is James, and for 31 years, my wife and I built our life together in a small house outside Cleveland, Ohio. It was not a mansion. It was not some luxury property. It was the place where we raised our son, buried our arguments, celebrated birthdays, and survived the hardest years of our marriage. I personally rebuilt most of that house with my own hands. I repaired the roof. I replaced the floors. I rebuilt the kitchen. Every room carried a memory. When my wife passed away after a long illness, I thought the hardest part of my life was already behind me. I was wrong. 3 months after her funeral, I received a notice about her estate hearing. I expected paperwork. I expected lawyers. I expected arguments over savings and personal belongings. What I did not expect was to hear my own son say that I had no legal right to remain in the house. He told the court that the property had been placed under his mother's name years earlier, and that her estate should determine what happened to it. His wife had hired an attorney who presented documents that made their case look convincing. I sat there, completely stunned. I looked at my son and asked him why he was doing this. He would not look me in the eyes. His lawyer argued that the house was part of my wife's estate and that my son was entitled to receive it. I wanted to stand up and tell everyone how many years I had worked to build that home, but I knew emotions would not win a courtroom. Then the judge started reviewing the documents. He asked when the property had supposedly been transferred. The lawyer gave him a date. The judge looked at another document. Then he asked whether my wife had personally signed the transfer. The lawyer said yes. I felt my stomach drop. Because I remembered something my wife had told me 3 years earlier. She had warned me that someone in the family was trying to force her to sign, something she did not understand. At the time, I thought she was talking about financial paperwork. She never explained more. The judge continued reading. Then he suddenly stopped. He looked directly at my son and asked one question. If your mother transferred this property 3 years ago, why does this document show that she was not physically present in the state on the date you claim she signed it? Nobody spoke. My son's face went completely white. His wife immediately turned toward him. Even her lawyer seemed confused. The judge ordered the original records to be produced. That was when the real secret came out. My wife had quietly kept copies of everything. She had discovered that someone had been preparing documents that could eventually remove me from the house. She had gone to an attorney privately and created a separate legal file protecting my right to remain in the property. She had never told me because she was afraid of confronting. Our son would destroy the family. The documents showed that the suspicious transfer was never legally completed. The signature presented by my son's lawyer was being challenged because the supporting records did not match the date and circumstances. Then another document was presented. It was a letter my wife had written 3 years earlier. In that letter, she explained that she wanted me to remain in the house for the rest of my life. She also stated that she believed someone might try to take advantage of her illness and manipulate the estate after her death. I could barely breathe while the judge read it. My son finally looked at me. He started crying. He said he had made a terrible mistake, but I asked him one question. Why did you try to take the only home your mother wanted me to keep? He had no answer. The judge ruled that the disputed transfer could not be accepted. As presented and ordered, further legal review of the suspicious documents. I did not celebrate. I did not feel victorious. I felt heartbroken because I had walked into that courtroom expecting to lose my home. Instead, I discovered that my wife had been protecting me long before I knew. I needed protection. That day taught me something I will never forget. Sometimes the people standing closest to you are the ones you trust enough to never question. My wife knew that. She saw the danger before I did. And even after she was gone, the truth she left behind protected me. I kept the house, but the real thing she left me was not property. It was proof that after 31 years together, she was still looking out for me. If you have ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, remember this. The truth may arrive late, but when it finally arrives, it can change everything.